of the Scrub Daddy, the cutest but most high-tech scrubbing tool in the world.
$150,000 for 25%.
Can't go wrong with a smiley face on a sponge. Hi and welcome to Screen Hub, where today we'll be looking at 15 of the biggest payouts from the Shark Tank to date.
You're not going to have to do anything but sit back and watch the money roll in.
Laura, you got a deal. I'd love to do this.
The Redirest. Rick Hopper essentially handed the reins of the Redirest over to Lori when he agreed to a $150,000 investment in exchange for 65% of the company in Season 3. But it was this huge decision that would turn his little one-man show into a gigantic success.
Simple solution, Redirest.
The product, a magnetic clip that holds eyeglasses in place on a shirt, regularly sells out on QVC, and within the first 3 years after appearing on Shark Tank, Redirest says it's made over $13 million in revenue.
Our company is the Red Dress Boutique. We are seeking $600,000 in exchange for 5% equity in our company.
The Red Dress Boutique. Cuban and Herjavec split a $1.2 million investment for a 10% equity in Diana and Josh Harbor's online women's fashion retailer, The Red Dress Boutique, in Season 6, with Cuban taking the lead advisory role. In the week following their television appearance, the husband and wife team brought in $1 million in sales, which is kind of disappointing when you realize how much more they would have earned if supply wasn't an issue. Cuban then helped them with infrastructure issues, and in 2017, they've estimated to have pulled in over $20 million in revenue. But what's important is profits, where Cuban said it's making at least $500,000 annually.
Sharks, picture this. It's summertime in Maine. Both locals and tourists alike are in line at Maine's iconic lobster shack.
Cousins Maine Lobster. Cousins Sabine Lomack and Jim Salikas would pitch their high-end food truck brand, Cousins Maine Lobster, to the Sharks in Season 4. It's an interesting business model because they shipped lobster from their home state of Maine to their new home in Southern California in less than 24 hours.
We get our lobsters from shore to door in less than 24 hours.
Now, they're mostly known for their lobster rolls, and the Cousins did successfully make a deal with Corcoran, of all people, for $55,000 in exchange for 15% of their company. It would seem to have worked out well, however, considering how shortly after the episode premiered, the company hit $700,000 in sales. Then, in 2015, they brought in $8 million in revenue.
Our business is Bottle Breacher. We make the finest, personalized 50 caliber bottle openers on the market.
Bottle Breacher. Former Navy SEAL Eli Crane and his wife Jen made a deal with Cuban and O'Leary for $150,000 in exchange for a 20% stake in Bottle Breacher, a company staffed by military veterans who turned dummy 50 caliber bullets into stylized bottle openers. O'Leary has taken the lead brand ambassador role and said that it's one of his most profitable investments. He continued to grow to meet increasing demand, and in 2015 had made more than $2.5 million in sales.
She's gonna make you sharks ribs in a microwave.
Bubba's Q-Boneless Ribs. Al Bubba Baker, 1978 NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, secured a deal with Damon John in Season 5 for $300,000 in exchange for 30% equity and licensing rights to his company, Bubba's Q-Boneless Ribs. Damon said that he never expected that his most profitable investment would be in a rib business, considering his background in fashion. John did help Baker secure a deal with a large-scale food processing plant and said that he thinks that he can soon get Bubba's Q into becoming a national brand with $200 million in lifetime sales. And I can totally see that happening.
Millions of photos are taken every day from smartphones. Who doesn't have a phone with hundreds, if not thousands of photos?
Groovebook. Husband and wife team Brian and Julie Whiteman came into the tank in Season 3 to present Groovebook, a digital photo subscription service.
Groovebook app allows you to choose up to 100 photos every month from your smartphone and create a beautiful bound photo book in just minutes.
Now, for $2.99 a month, the user gets a bound book of high-resolution photos that they took with their smartphones. The founders made a deal with Cuban and O'Leary for $150K in exchange for 80% of licensing profits, with O'Leary taking the lead advisory role. Not only did the Whitemans gain 50,000 subscribers shortly after the premiere of their episode, but in 2014, the publicly traded company Shutterfly would buy Groovebook for $14.5 million. Doesn't seem to be worth their while, but I hope it works out for the Whitemans.
Wicked Good Cupcakes was born.
We received tons of requests to ship our cupcakes nationwide.
Wicked Good Cupcakes. Tracy and Danielle are a mother and daughter duo from Boston, Massachusetts, with a company that makes cupcakes in a jar. In season 4, they made a deal with O'Leary in which he would invest $75,000 for royalties instead of equity. So he's basically robbing them, where instead of being part owner, he just makes $1 off of every cupcake sold until he gets his $75,000 back. And then he begins receiving 50 cents per cupcake sold. Since it's an appearance on the show, WGC has expanded to a new production facility and have added a few locations in the chain. They've also risen from around $7,000 in monthly sales to $400,000, or roughly about $4.8 million annually. That makes it one of O'Leary's most profitable investments yet.
My homemade creation not only took away my eczema, but it also cleared up my aunt's psoriasis.
Simple Sugars. Lanny Lazzari was just 18 when she entered the tank in season 4 to pitch her skincare company, Simple Sugars. She then ended up making a deal with Cuban for $100,000 in return for 33% equity. I could make that by the time I couldn't do that by the time I'm 18. Oh, all right. Because within just 24 hours of her episode's premiere, Lazzari's sales would jump to $220,000, up from $50,000, and she hit her first million just 6 weeks after. Today, Simple Sugars products are more than 1,000 retail locations, and they ship internationally. For the 2014 year, the company brought in more than $3 million in revenue, and Cuban said that it's one of his most profitable investments from the show.
Hi, Sharks. I'm David.
And I'm Randy. Our company is Bombas, and we're here today seeking $200,000 in exchange for a 5% equity stake.
Bombas. In season 6, Bombas' co-founders gave Damon a 17.5% stake in their company for $200,000. Now, it's an online-only athletic sock company that donates a pair of socks to a homeless shelter for every pair sold, so the incentives are always to compel people to buy. Now, according to the Bombas founders, apparently they would sell $400,000 worth of product within the first 3 days after their television appearance, and they ended 2014 with a solid $2 million in sales. Damon's also admitted it to being one of his more profitable investments.
Lumio. It's an elegant lighting solution that gives you the freedom to experience beautiful lighting wherever you are.
Lumio. Valuing Lumio at $3.5 million, Herjavec invested $350,000 for a 10% stake in Max Gonowan's foldable magnetic lamp company in season 6 after calling him possibly the best entrepreneur that he had seen so far on the show. Quite the compliment, if you ask me. Last year, Lumio would make $3 million in sales, hitting that mark again this past June. He told Forbes. Now, he also explained that his growth was healthy and that he's going to continue to make distribution deals with stores that appeal to a high-end, artistic audience.
Everywhere I go, there's zombies.
Hi, Sharks. I'm Melissa Carbone from Los Angeles. My company is 1031 Productions.
1031 Productions. In season 5, Cuban would decide to put up $2 million for 20% of Melissa Carbone's live horror entertainment company, 1031 Productions, instead of her original ask of 10%. 1031 had another successful Halloween season this year in its birthplace of Los Angeles, but did struggle in its expansion to New York City due to a lack of preparation for storm conditions. Carbone said that it was a stressful but valuable learning experience, and she looks forward to expanding to Cuban's hometown of Dallas. They've also been decently profitable, averaging over $5 million in revenue and $500,000 in profit per year.
Grace and Lace has taken the
Boring sock.
Boring.
Grace and Lace. In season 5, Barbara Corcoran would invest $175,000 for 10% of husband and wife duo Melissa and Rick Hennon's fashion company, Grace and Lace. Corcoran claims it to be her most profitable Shark Tank investment ever. Now, before their appearance, the Hennons brought in just under $1 million in sales. These days, they're expecting $6.5 million a year on average and have grossed over $20 million total in revenue. As the company has grown, its philanthropic mission has as well, and since appearing on the show, it's used profits to open 2 orphanages in India, housing a total of 100 children. A win-win.
Are you safe to drive? And who would want to carry one of these bulky old breathalyzers around?
The breathometer. In season 5, Charles Yim scored a big bite from all 5 sharks when they teamed up for a deal with Breathometer, a portable breathalyzer that works with a smartphone. Mark Cuban, Kevin O'Leary, Damon John, Herjavec, and Lori got in on a $650,000 deal for 30% of the company. Now, since his Shark Tank appearance, Yim has secured an additional $6.5 million in funding, partnered with the prestigious Cleveland Clinic, and also developed a more accurate and more portable main product, in addition to a device that tracks oral health and hydration levels. With near $30 million in sales during its 2016 term, Yim and the Sharks would expect sales to increase nearly by double, despite its charge handed by the FTC for product inaccuracy. Well, we'll just wait and see what happens in a year.
Before Tipsy Elves, Christmas sweaters were old, they smelled terrible, and you could only find them at your local thrift store.
Tipsy Elves. When Robert Herjavec invested $100,000 for 10% of Evan Mendelsohn and Nick Morton's ugly Christmas sweater company in season 4, it may have appeared to viewers that he was betting on a dying market. As it turns out, though, it was one of his most profitable Shark Tank investments to date. To stay ahead of the trends, Herjavec would help make Tipsy Elves a year-round novelty apparel company that can capitalize off of multiple holidays, as well as the college football season. Before its 2013 Shark Tank appearance, Tipsy Elves made close to $900,000 in annual revenue, but in 2014, they made $8 million. And in 2015, they reached over their goal of $12 million, according to the company.
Hi, Sharks. I'm Aaron Krause from Philadelphia, and I'm known as the daddy of the Scrub Daddy.
The Scrub Daddy. Now, who would have thought that a simple sponge company would have become the biggest Shark Tank success story? Over the past 5 years, Scrub Daddy has brought in over $100 million in revenue, according to the product's investor, Lori. Lori made a deal with its founder and CEO, Aaron Krause, in season 4 for $200,000 in exchange for 20% equity. At that point, Krause had struggled to reach just $100,000 in sales over his first 18 months in business, but Lori saw a great potential in the company's signature, offering a proprietary smiley face sponge that was more durable, hygienic, and effective than the traditional ones. She helped Krause expand his product line and brought them onto QVC and eventually into stores like Bed Bath & Beyond, where they've become best sellers. And that concludes what are Shark Tank's 15 biggest payouts. Feel free to let us know in the comments what you think. One lucky commenter will have the chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card, so make that comment awesome. Also, leave a like, thumbs up, and subscribe for more in the future. And thanks, and have an excellent day.